Hello, and welcome to My Green Balance, the podcast. The type of guests we love to have on this show include fitness professionals, athletes, CEOs, executives, founders, brand owners, wellness leaders, and high performance individuals who have a story connected to health, discipline, resilience, and/or leadership. Welcome. This conversation is designed to be conversational, practical, and inspiring. We want our guests to share their wellness journeys, career evolution, and personal routines, diet habits, achievements, challenges, and maybe some advice for others beginning in their health and wellness journey to live healthier and more intentional lives. Nothing here is direct advice. You want to seek medical professional advice for one-on-one information. However, this is a professional chat. Welcome, Mike. Mike has started his early career in health and wellness through competitive bodybuilding. In his early teens and 20s, Mike has won Mr. USA competitions, and that's so exciting, and we can't wait to talk more about that. Mike knew and understood at a high level that nutrition was going to be the future. He next decided to study health and wellness. Mike has worked in businesses within this space and field over the last 30 years. Okay, Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you feeling today?
Feeling fantastic. It's a great day to have this conversation with you.
Okay, cool. So my first question that I have for you is, what has brought you into the health and wellness space?
I think from a very young age, I had parents that were both into the health side of things. My dad was always working out in the gym. He was always an athlete. My mother was she was a ballerina. And she was kind of ahead of her time when she tried to feed me bean sprouts as a kid. And, as a kid, you're like, you don't want to eat that stuff. So I think the foundation really came from my parents because they were always about health and wellness. And, that also, when I was young, I had, a lot of allergies and I
Okay.
was allergic to a lot of different foods. So, we had to make very decisive decisions around what kind of food I could eat so that my allergies wouldn't overcome or overtake my life.
Wow. Okay. And what are some of your favorite achievements so far, personally and then professionally?
Well, personally, again, I was always playing sports growing up, baseball, martial arts, football. But my senior year in football, I broke the ACL in my left knee, and it left me with like, okay, now what can I do? And I had a high school history teacher of all people. While I was walking through school one day, he says, "Have you ever thought about bodybuilding?" I'm like, "No, I work out to play football."
Mm,
So when I went away to college, I was thought to myself, well, you kind of planted that seed. And so I thought to myself, well, my dad has a good physique. If I actually put a lot of time and effort into this and started studying what it would take to become a bodybuilder, I
hmm,
could potentially do really well. I
cool.
came home the next summer, competed in my very first show, took third in the city where I lived in. I
Cool.
took third in West Virginia, and then I took a year off, and I scouted other shows that I might want to compete in. I went to New York and scouted the Mr. USA competition and just had a really good feel about it. If I had a good, solid 2 years to train and put on the size that I needed to, I feel that I could be very competitive in that particular competition. And so early on, that was one of my very first highlights as a passion because I took that passion I had about weight training and nutrition and won the Mr. USA competition. So, that was like planting my flag in the sand of like, I've accomplished something that most will never even consider.
Yeah.
And and then I competed for another four, I think 3 or 4 years. When the last competition I was in, I came in 13th in the world,
Wow.
and I felt that I had completed that side of what I wanted to do. So that was an exciting time. There was a lot of publicity. I was on ESPN several times. I was in many of the top magazines, the bodybuilding magazines. And so that was really, it kind of opened a lot of doors for me
Okay.
that probably wouldn't be otherwise open. So from that passion to my actual very first job, I guess, was I got hired by a company called Cybergenics. They're no longer around, but at the time they were the largest sport nutrition company in the world,
Wow.
and they wanted me to be a spokesperson for them. And I was like, just absolutely thrilled because I get a chance to educate and demonstrate what it took to get to that level of competition. And I used to travel every single week somewhere in the country and out of the country, and do PXs and commissaries on military bases, and
Right.
just really give these lectures on the importance of nutrition, which was surprising to me because I was, in my early 20s, and I would have doctors come up to me afterwards and say, "So why is protein so essential? Why does there have to be a ratio?" I'm like, and at the time, I didn't know. I didn't know that doctors they have no nutritional education when they're going through med school.
Yeah.
So I learned that after, but that was really the kind of the start of my career.
Wow. Okay, so before we get into the next question, while we're on this theme, I thought back in the day we didn't have social media and we had magazines, and magazines were everything. And I remember the bodybuilding magazines. That must have been so exciting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, because I would go, when they would put something in print, they'd always let me know, and I'd be right down to the store that had the big magazine rack, and I'd pick it up and go through it till I found the picture and the article about me or whatever it might be, and it was definitely thrilling. There's no question
Do you
because
have
when you're
all of your trophies and magazines, articles, and publications?
I've kept all the magazines and of all the ads I did, as well as all the magazines I was written up in. But the trophies have all gone to all gone to somewhere else. They just took up an enormous amount of space, and it was like I got it all here as a memory. I don't need to show it
Oh,
off.
yeah. And back then it was like men's fitness, men's health. What were the magazines?
Well, you had, I mean,
Bodybuilding.com.
Muscle and Fitness was the biggest one. There was no .com back then.
Okay.
You had Muscle and Fitness, you had Ironman, you had uh, Flex, I mean, there were so many different ones at the times. I was never in men's fitness or men's health, but all the major muscle magazines where it was all about bodybuilding, those
Okay.
are the ones I appeared in. Yeah. So it was cool to see that, because it's surreal. You
Yeah.
work so hard, and I know that sports today are year round. Many of the top, professional sports are year round. Uh, but back then,
Yeah.
bodybuilding was a year round sport. Like there's no time off.
Oh,
You're either trying to put size on, so the calorie intake is enormous. You're trying to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours,
yeah.
try to put the size on because once you start to diet, you're going to sacrifice a little bit of muscle. So trying to get bigger every time you compete. And again, I'm 6'2".
Yeah.
Most people I competed with are much shorter. I had to look that much different. But it was a year-round sport. But when I was done with it, I was done with the competing side. I didn't stop training. Obviously, that was something that I still loved to do.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting that you said that because I was wondering if it was an on season or an off season. Because my next question is, what are some of your favorite go-to meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And then I do want to have a little contrast as to does it differ between competition time and your normal life?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, my breakfast typically was always eggs, egg whites. I would eat 10 to 12 egg whites in the morning. I would have probably a big, at the time, I would eat a big bowl of oatmeal. I'd throw some raisins in there. This is off season
Okay.
because I'm trying to pack as many calories as possible into each meal. Then, your next meal was typically chicken and rice, a lot of chicken and rice
Yeah.
meals, a lot of chicken and rice. And then I'd finish the day with some more, another dozen eggs, egg whites. Um, the difference was in the off season, you can use condiments, using mustard on your, on your chicken and
Ketchup.
you're putting different things on your eggs. There's condiments, but those all have sodium in it. So you have to start to wean that stuff out because it'll drop water weight initially. And then the closer I'd get to a show, I'd start eating more and more fish. But it was, and I wrote down every meal.
Right.
And what's interesting is I would write everything down and I weigh everything and measure everything.
Right.
There was not a meal I would ever eat that I didn't weigh or measure. What's crazy is I still measure today,
Nice.
but I think, you just get into that habit
Yeah.
because it's very easy to overeat the things that aren't going to be beneficial to your health.
Yeah.
Not that carbs are bad, but I could sit down and I could eat 6 plates of pizza or 6 plates of spaghetti a day, and that's definitely not something I'm going to do. But now I definitely have my cheat meals. You got to have a cheat meal. Like, so, you reward
Yeah, I
yourself.
like to say like a treat meal. So, for example, we have our routine, and then let us know what is your favorite delivery choice, your restaurant or grab and go option. Because what we've noticed are that our splurge meals today are no longer treats, but also part of normal convenience. But sometimes it is like a treat or a splurge. So, tell us more.
Well, it depends. There's no like chain restaurants that I go to primarily. I mean, I just don't. I go where I know the food's good, but like there's a place right up the street called uh, Chicken Kitchen, and I can actually go get chicken breasts on rice,
Nice.
um, which is very good. And they have a bunch of other things you can put on top of it, dressings, different vegetables and stuff like that. But I'll go to somewhere there. But if I'm going to splurge, I'll go to an Italian restaurant. I'll have a good steak. I'll have a side plate of pasta. And maybe a salad that has some cheese and meats in it and stuff like that.
Cool.
But I don't ever go crazy. I'm not the guy that's going to sit down and eat a cheesecake. That's not me. And also the reason I don't buy chips because I
Yeah.
like salt way better than I like sweet. And if I buy a bag of chips, it's not a good thing. So, but that's kind of my splurge meal is usually, and then pizza. I love pizza, and I typically do a little bit lighter on the cheese, heavier on the sauce. And there's only, and again, chain pizza does not work for me. It
Cool.
just doesn't taste the same. So I go to little offshoots of, homemade pizzas and stuff like that that are put in a fire oven. So, but I have a cheat meal probably once a week.
I say treat meal and splurges. I like the word treat because it's like a treat. Because cheating is one of those words that it's too much guilt associated. And we believe here that it's important to have balance with our diet. So nothing too strict, but there's always room for flexibility to choose a treat because we're so strict.
Well, I like the verbiage. There's no question about that. But because, being in the bodybuilding world, it was always, what are you going to have for your cheat meal?
I know. I
So
remember.
that's it's just stuck in my head.
I know, and I
Uh,
thought about that as well. It was in the fitness world, that is a normal term, yes.
yeah.
Okay, so I like all of your go grab and go options. I agree with the pizzas. The stone brick ovens are way better than a lot of the chains because what I'm hearing you say is, habits last through life. So what you learned through bodybuilding, it's who you are. You still measure, you still keep your routine, and that is what is important for us to recognize the importance of habit and routine.
Well, consistency is the one thing that most people can't do, and or they choose not to do it. They can do it. Anything's possible,
Mm.
but uh, the unfortunate thing is, I know that you live in a different place than I do. America is the fattest nation in the world. Um, that's to me is like people just don't care anymore, and it's so simple to get leaner and stay. It is so simple. People think you have to go into the gym for 3 hours a day. I never in my life have gone to a gym for 3 hours a day. When I was competing, hour and a half done.
Right.
Because there's no way you can have the intensity you need to have to change your body for that sport in any longer period of time than that. So, people would just go out and maybe start walking on a regular basis. Start eating, the good healthy proteins and vegetables, and put away the pasta and the rice and the potatoes and all that stuff. Not that that's bad, but if you are overweight,
Yeah.
1,000% get rid of it because you don't need it. And you just don't. I mean, if most people eat less protein than they need to, what's sufficient for their body. They eat more carbohydrates than their body can metabolize. And with fats, that's a whole other discussion. They don't know the difference between healthy fat and bad fat. They just don't.
Yeah.
So, it's the consistency. And that's why a lot of people see me, at the gym. They're like, man, you look really good. I'm like, it's just a lot of years of doing the same thing. Uh, you know, today I already had my chicken and rice meal. I had my eggs. I threw some avocado in there this morning. I still eat yams every single day
Wow.
because it's lower on the glycemic index. But it really is about consistency. And if people could just do something for 30 days,
Yeah.
you'll be surprised that you can do it that 31st day and that 32nd day. And before you know it, it becomes something where you actually start to feel better because you look better potentially and you're eating better quality food.
Yeah.
There's some people in my family that are way off the deep end on the not good food side. And it's apparent. And when the majority of our family is healthy, and it's like they just choose to kind of maybe pretend that that's just how they are. That's a baloney. What you weighed in high school when you graduated high school is probably when you start to get older in life, unless you're doing a competition or a sport that you have to put on a lot of muscle, it's probably what you should weigh for the most of your life.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Okay, so let's dive into professional world. How has this health and fitness routine impacted you professionally?
Well, when I set out once I moved away from Cybergenics, well, I didn't move away. They sold the company and they cut my division out, so I was laid off. Um, and I was looking for something that could embrace my belief, my lifestyle, and I circled an ad in the LA Times that said sports minded. I figured, okay, that's me. It said it gave a certain dollar amount that you could earn monthly, and training was provided. I ended up in a company that was a health and environmental company. Um, and I got a great deal of education because I didn't know much about the environment at the time.
Mm.
But we started out with something simple like water filtration. That at the time, there was probably maybe one bottle of water on the water aisle in your store, and that was distilled. There was
Yeah.
no like bottled water. And this company created water filtration that was greater than anything out there on the planet. And once you get an understanding of what is in your water, and people continue to drink tap water, I'm like, you have got to be losing your mind because there's mutagens and tumor promoters and all kinds of chemicals. It's crazy. But I got a great deal of education there,
Yeah.
and I ran with that company for about 4 years until I was looking for just another opportunity to grow a little bit bigger professionally. But it all kept coming back to nutrition.
Yeah.
Anytime I was doing something with nutrition that I knew that could benefit the person I was giving it to or selling it to, that was what was exciting for me. Because anytime you can make an impact in another person's life by something that they can drink or something they can eat, and they get a result from it, there's really no better feeling.
Yeah.
There really isn't, because you've made a big impact with them. And so my life has always come back to nutrition, whether I went off on a tangent to do something different. It always came back to nutrition because I knew that that's the cornerstone of longevity.
Yeah.
I knew that's the cornerstone of health. And like, there's no mistakes about it. We're not deficient in aspirin. We're not deficient in antibiotics. We're not deficient in all these things that when people start having symptoms, they get prescribed. We're not deficient in any of that stuff. It's just we're deficient in the nutrients we have taken in the body. And but working in the health and wellness field has been phenomenal. And then I had a really rare opportunity in 2010 to work with a doctor who I admired for many, many years. His name was Dr. Howard Cohn. He has the Cohn Health Institute in Southern California. I think you met Howard Cohn
Right. I
when we
might
were
have
up.
seen you guys did an interview together once.
We did. And I'd always admired him because he took care of my body for 20 plus years at the time. And he was always spot on, and he always got me back on track. And he came to me with another guy and says, "Hey, we want to launch a nutrition company." And I said, "Okay, why am I here?" They said, "We want you to be the guy that leads the sales team." And I couldn't have been more thrilled
Mm.
because I finally had an opportunity to grow from the ground up a company that was doing nutrition for the right reasons.
Right.
Because listen, let's face it, there's a lot of stuff out there that's gimmicky, that doesn't work. People take things because they heard something on social media. We created an organic, plant-based nutritional supplement line that only had 4 products in the beginning, but it's something that when people actually took it, they would notice a difference in their body and how they felt in 48 hours.
Yeah.
That's an impact product. When you have a product like that, and it was amazing because I started out with like 16 people on the very first day that were part of my sales team, and we grew to 800 people in 30 days. So, because people for the first time had real nutrition that they liked, that was convenient and was affordable. So, that was, again, that was probably my most exciting time I'd ever had because I had a chance to build something that was very unique and it felt like it was mine.
Cool. How fun. Yeah, I love those supplements. I feel like they do make a difference, these vitamins, and it must be interesting being in the US to see products pop up on the market and over time, what has stood the test of time and what has been a fad. Do you ever notice those things?
Uh, you know, because the majority of, back in the day, you had to read it, it had to be in print, right, to really understand. Today, social media has overtaken people's education. And I think most people look through Instagram, TikTok, and they just scroll until they find something that catches their interest. Like, this is going to help you burn body fat. You'll lose 30 pounds in 30 days. And it's like, you know, okay, maybe, but as soon as you get off that product, it's going to all come back on and more because nothing changed your habit. All right. You're still eating probably the way you have. So there's been a lot of gimmicky products, but your basic vitamins have stood the test of time.
Yeah.
We're hearing a lot more about hydrogen today and really understanding the benefits of hydrogen to the human body. That is going to be here forever. It's getting more and more and more popular. Creatine,
Yeah.
which people hear about, but what most people don't understand it is the longest studied nutritional supplement in history. Been studied for like 40 plus years. Because it's not just for cellular, not just for cellular benefits of health, but a cognitive. It actually affects the way your brain thinks
Right.
and the speed of this the thinking. So, your basics are always going to be your basics. I think that what's unique right in this time is not only are your vitamins, and make sure if you're getting a vitamin out there and you're watching this podcast, get something that's food based. Um, don't, if it's made in a lab, there's probably nothing in there that came from food. So, look for like an organic food based nutritional supplement.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it was really unique. And I think we're going to start to see some huge, huge health benefits is in the peptide world. I'm sure you're hearing about it down there. You're probably
Oh
reading
yeah,
about it.
peptides. We're loving peptides, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going
But
to
more
make a
so
giant.
for beauty, I don't understand it as like a protein or a supplement. I don't understand it like that.
Well, peptides actually occur. They're generated within your body. Just that the older you get, the less opportunity you have to generate them. There are different strains of amino acids in a certain configuration, which creates a peptide, and they just do it now in the lab. But for my own personal reasons, there's something called BPC 157. I heard it was great for pain relief. So I'd been having a problem in my shoulder and my elbow for probably a good year. And I just, no matter what I did, massages, Theraguns, no matter what I did, it just didn't get better. I did 30 days of BPC 157 every day in my elbow and my shoulder. That's been a couple months now. I no longer have the issue. So I
Wow.
think we're going to see some amazing results based upon peptides, but make sure that you do your research because you don't want to be taking peptides where their main ingredients come from China.
Yeah, that's exciting to hear that it's so revolutionary for body pain. And yes, I agree with you to find a good source.
Yeah, I mean, I know a couple of companies. I'm not here to promote them, but um, I think it's going to be a revolution around health. I really do because there's so many different peptides that are out there that focus on different issues, and it's just a natural way for your body to kind of heal. Um, but there's also peptides that are available. These BPC 157 was something I used, but I know that people are using peptides to lose weight. I have a very good friend of mine that was really overweight. He started using peptides to lose weight, and it's just dropping off of him. And he just is so excited because the doing the treadmill every day is not going to work for him. It does not.
Yeah.
He is eating better because I've helped him with his diet, but or his food regimen. But he started doing the peptides, and he's losing weight. And he's so excited.
Mhm.
Um,
That is
and
exciting.
I think we're going to see some amazing things happen in that world. And we're just getting, they're just getting started now. They've been around for a long time, but I think the popularity of them is definitely becoming more and more aware with people. I mean, I hear people talking about it every day in the gym, every day. Uh, and I think the future with that looks pretty bright.
Cool. Yeah, I recently went to America and I realized that more and more people are dressed in fitness clothes and it's not just California anymore. It's like becoming more of a thing to do and be, which is exciting.
Yeah, that's I'm sure there's anybody in the fitness world. For the most part, they're wearing their fitness gear all the time. You see that with men and women. But of course, I live in here in Florida. I'm in shorts and t-shirts most of the time anyway. Um, but yeah, fitness wear has definitely exploded.
That's cool. Yeah, I was looking at back in the day, I don't know if you've ever heard of P90X.
Of course.
And looking at to see the not only through diets, the transition of different diets and fads and products and supplements that have just been in the diet market, but also the fitness trends of now we're seeing Zumba and dancercise and bodybuilding is its own sector. And then now we're seeing high rocks and more run clubs. Are you seeing all of that in Florida as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real hotbed of fitness opportunity here. I think that, for anybody who's watching this, go find something that you have fun doing. So you may not like going to the gym and working out and pushing yourself that way. Get into a good Zumba class. I used to know the girl who was the number one Zumba instructor in Miami, and she had fun doing it. She was in incredible shape, but The people in our class had a good time. So what with all of these opportunities in fitness, find something you enjoy doing.
I agree.
I think that weight training is incredibly important for bone density. That's a different discussion, but I think for what you just brought up is that find something you love doing that you can be consistent at doing.
Yeah.
Like if you like to go hiking, hike 3 days a week. Give that a start. It might go to 4 days a week, but don't hike one week and then take 3 weeks off and go, oh, need to get back to hiking. Because that progress is going to be slow. Um, but find something you like because there's so many opportunities out there in health and wellness and fitness. Just find something you love to do. Like I get excited to go to the gym every
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
because I
That's
know
what
what
I'm
it feels
thinking.
like when I'm done.
I agree with you 1,000% because there's some people who like going to the gym and that's like the sport. And I agree, I like just going to the gym, doing a routine. But some people like the dancercise and Pilates and yoga. And now we're seeing high rocks and 5Ks and marathons and Pilates. And, I'm seeing rooftop Pilates all over the world. And bodybuilding is still a thing, and we're seeing more female competitors in it, and bikini models are a new sector of modeling, and it's interesting to look at it over the history of diet and fitness.
Yeah, it definitely is interesting to see how many different type of competitions they've created so that somebody can get into that. They have this men's physique today where you have to pretty much have an incredible upper body, but I know they do train legs, but they don't have to be the legs of what we had to have.
Uh,
When I was competing, my legs were 32 inches around, one leg. Uh, Today, you don't have to do that to be in men's physique, but there's bikini, there's fitness, there's all these different competitions that have come up, and yes, you have to go to. If you could plan on competing in that way, you have got to go to the gym and move weight. That is the only way that's going to happen. You are not going to diet your way into competition shape without lifting weights. It's not going to happen. Um, but like there's just so many different ways. Now, here's what I know. If
mhm.
you've never done Pilates, for those of you watching this, if you've never done Pilates, go give it a shot, especially with the recumbent machine. Give it a shot because that's what I did during COVID. And I got to tell you, it kicked my, you know what? It was so hard compared to, and I was the only guy in the class. There was just nothing but women. And, the woman instructor, I used to always laugh because it's always the guys. I'm like, listen, this is no joke. I mean, it is really, really difficult. So for you guys out there to go, oh, my God, that can't be that tough. Go try it out. And for women, it's a great, great exercise
Yeah.
to tone your body. You're definitely going to sweat. There's no question about that. But I did Zumba classes when I was friends with the girl in Miami. Those are fun too. But the gym is still my anchor.
Yeah. Cool. That's interesting. I feel like there's so many injuries that pop up from having a rigorous routine in fitness that choosing 1 or 2 days of a cardio or a Pilates or a yoga helps to improve the flexibility because we see so many like shoulder injury and hamstrings and lower back and knee pain that having that to balance out the strength and the muscle, I feel is a really good routine.
Well, you have to understand that you can age gracefully, but if you're not doing anything to anything to your fitness, you're going to age faster.
Right.
People, you can see it on someone's face. You can see it in how they carry their body. You can always look around a room and see if that person works out,
Yeah.
whether they're wearing a business suit or not. And then you look at somebody else and they'll tell you their age, and you're like, because they're not aging gracefully, because they're probably not doing anything healthy.
Yeah.
Um, but and stretching is very important because we become less and less flexible the older we get. So if you do and get yourself into something where you're sweating after you're done exercising, stretch. Go stretch. To take a 10-minute stretching routine that you put into your daily habits, and I was a big avid snowboarder when I lived in California. And even as big as I was then, I would stretch a lot. And when people would actually help me stretch, they'd be like, wow, you're really limber. I'm like, because I've always stretched. If that's why people, they pull their back or they hurt their hamstring or whatever, it's because you're not flexible.
Yeah,
Uh, so definitely think about that stretching after you get heated up with exercise.
I agree. I agree. I agree. Okay, cool. A last note before we head out, because I remember Mike and I met in Palm Beach at a group event for fitness and wellness professionals, and we found that we both love anti-aging. And so I love that you have accepted to be on this podcast today. And I want to say thank you so much for showing up and sharing your time, space, and energy here as I get started. And I look forward to having more guests. And I would love to have you back again in the future to chat more about this because I feel like we have only taken, a baby step forward into the world of this conversation and where it can go, and that people want to hear more about these habits and routines.
And I appreciate you asking me to be on. I think that, definitely I'm willing to join you again in the future because there's so many rabbit holes we could go down. I mean, we could just stay on food and talk about, different food. And, what I think is kind of unique is people who know me know my habits. And they're like, you're getting a little bit angry. You probably have to eat. Um, they just know that I have a routine that I really try to adhere to. And I know that a lot of people say, I don't have enough time. I got kids. I got a husband. I got household chores. I got to do this. And it's like, if you don't have 30 minutes in your day to do something beneficial for your health, you really have to whittle that time out of there because it can make the biggest difference. Because
Yeah,
a half hour, and then, I don't want to go into this now, but, definitely think about meal prepping. You can get something that, you have a day or two of, so you don't have to cook everything, you just heat it back up. You're going to be in better shape than those who are trying to wait and they're eating the chips while they're making their fish. It's
yeah,
like, so, but yeah, I appreciate you asking me to be on here. I think that you're going to bring on a lot of interesting guests. I think you should probably definitely bring on Dr. Howard Cohn if you get a chance.
okay.
And, I don't know if you're going to be able to get Gary Brecka on here, but he'll be another one might want to get on here as well. So, but,
Yeah,
been
I
great being
would love
here.
to get more and get into ESPN world and talk to more athletes and professionals and doctors is a great idea. If Dr. Howard wants to chat, I'm very happy to meet with him.
Yeah, I'll send him a note.
Okay, cool, Mike. Well, anywhere
Okay.
else that we can follow you, or would you prefer to keep connections on LinkedIn?
You can keep connections with me on LinkedIn if you want some additional information or advice. Yeah, I check it pretty regularly. I'm not on there every day. It's not like I'm a junkie on LinkedIn, but you can find me there. Send me a message. And again, it doesn't matter what the topic is. I'm willing to spend some time with you, get you the kind of information you might need to help you on your health and wellness journey.
Amazing. Well, thanks again so much, Mike, and chat soon.
Okay, take care now.